All right, everyone, this is the watch list video for Friday, April 17th, showing you the SPY here. Kind of a narrow daily range again, closing about where it opened. Same thing happened yesterday. Same thing happened back here a few days ago. A lot of narrow ranges lately. In chat still, proud of the fact that we've been finding the standouts in the A+ setups and making some money. But I will say this before I go into the watch list for Friday. It feels a little bit like a waste of time because as I'm showing you there, the SPY closed 279.10. As I'm talking, it's trading at 287.50. I think that's where it went out in after hours. President Trump came out with the plan to reopen America, or however he phrased it, and that pretty much got everything popping in after hours. And so that means a gap up more than likely tomorrow, unless something wicked happens between now and the opening bell. And that's generally not my favorite scenario for a guy who never shorts. But we'll see. I still think we'll find some good plays. For those of you that weren't in chat today, I'll show you because I get a lot of feedback from the videos, the watch list videos. Sometimes I'll go into some of the trades from that day and explain the setup and why they were called where they were called. And I get a lot of feedback saying, hey, thank you, we like that, right? So because of that, I'm going to do that a little bit right here, just to explain Codex. So Codex had a big rip today. It was already on the overnight watch list from yesterday, and then it ended up kind of sliding over to the gap playlist because it was gapping up. So this is what it looked like when I called it. I said an inside 2-minute candle setup. In other words, the first break of a previous two's high, which to me, or to this chart here, was over 1020. You had the high of day just above 3 cents above. I love this because, yeah, I love everything about this gap because I already liked the daily chart, or it wouldn't have been on the list, right? Then you had a sellers come in at the open scenario. So the 2-minute buy setup gets you right before the sellers fail over the high of day, basically a 1020 break, and it went nuts from there. Then Kevin P called, and the only thing I didn't like about Kevin P's idea was right here. Was over 11. There was a seller on the tape at 11.50. The high of day was only 20 cents above. And before I even finish the sentence, most of you course takers are already going to know what I'm going to say. The only thing I didn't like about it was if it did break the half here, high of day is closed, but this is going to happen during lunchtime, right? Oftentimes much less powerful of a setup. Having said that, I took it at 11.50 right there, and I just scaled out, a huge chunk into the test of the high of day because I really didn't expect a breakout to occur during lunch. So I played this one pretty tight, and the minute it came back down, I was out the rest flat. Still a good call, but then it's formed just a beautiful setup because you had the earlier high here at 1170. It hit 1169 here, basically, I think 1169 here. So you got a beautiful cup and handle forming on an already strong stock. And so as it unfolds, I called this long over the microphone in chat. I said over 1170, basically a high of day break, cup and handle break, and you got this massive rip and ended up going out at its highs. So I had really nice trade in this. And by the way, I missed the 520 touch there, whole number flush. I don't know. I think somebody said somebody posted it in chat. I didn't see that one. But this thing, oftentimes you'll see a stock that's trading well give 2 or 3 setups that we look for on the same day. So anyway, that was one today. I already talked about, a few entries in that one. And then real quick, I got to give hats off to Wayne because this big, massive move in Roku today, he called this long over 120. I'll explain that setup too. Simple, right? Gapped up, topped out at 120. As it comes back up, you've got a high of day break, probably some short cover. And this is one of those classic where Wayne's going to tell you give it a little wiggle room because it's got to probably come back and maybe test the moving averages. You know what? On a $120 stock, it only came down 50 cents and then was off to the races. Ended up going up, I don't know, over $12 a share from Wayne's call without even coming back 50 cents. And Tesla, he called over this, let's see, right over this little flag here. I know he called it long at 740. It's probably easier to see if I switch to twos. And this is one that you had this kind of flag. It's already kind of establishing, okay, it's strong again. A lot of shorts in Tesla. And yesterday's high not that far away is another catalyst. Seller on the tape at 740. And that one ended up going to 759.45. So basically almost $20 move on that one too. So some really nice calls by Wayne. And again, we had the Codex calls. a couple other calls, and a really, really nice day. Great teamwork. All right, so excuse me, having said all that, what are we watching tomorrow? Codex is on the list because of that big move. Now, we don't want to chase, but we might get an A+ setup again tomorrow. I would note that it's trading down at 12.46 in after hours, so who knows? But maybe a red to green, and then we have today's high as another catalyst. Anything can happen, so it goes on the watch list. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything to have stocks on a chart, and then what we do is stock intraday A+ setups and in cash before the closing bell, right? So Trip had this big volume spike yesterday, kind of a quiet inside day today. You got to love this back through 20, but now we've got today's high was 1963, so I kind of like it over that, with the potential of yesterday's high, kind of another nearby catalyst. But again, as I said, a lot of stuff's moving in after hours, and this in after hours went to about 20.47. So that setup probably won't play out. It'll probably be a gapper, and then we'll have to change kind of strategies and change the way we look at it. BIOL, I've just been after this big pop. We went 4 or 5 days in a row down, but still kind of hanging out at the 20-day. Goes on bounce watch. Had it on bounce watch today, but no setup in it. NURO, kind of a weird one because it had that big spike. Kind of a nice inside day yesterday. I talked about this. I made a short video on Twitter. I can probably explain it better here. All right, because it moved so big a couple days ago, and then yesterday was actually fairly strong after giving back a lot the day of the big move. It gapped up a little bit today, and then put in an inside 5. So I just called it long over this 369, 370 area, thinking we're going to light up the new highs ticker over 380. So we get in here, light up the new highs ticker, and then start to do one of these moves, or at least a move like it did yesterday morning. And I'm a genius for calling it right there. And look what happens. Takes out the high and comes right back down. I think I made like 60 bucks on it still because I got long here. It takes out the high of day. I'm trying to hang on to all my shares, and it just starts to come back down. I hit out, what would have been at the market, but it said I made 60-something bucks on the trade. So that's just, DFA. We talk about it in chat all the time. Defense first, always. So, wasn't a losing trade, but here's the frustrating part that I made the video about. So my thesis on Neuro was, hey, this one could squeeze, and then it has this big move here, and I don't even know if I was in my office or out getting Cheez-Its, from the pantry or whatever, but came back and saw this huge move. Had I had this, kind of front and center in front of me, I could have Tokyo'd this anywhere in here, and I know some of you in chat got it. I wasn't even in the office. Nice little move. It ended up kind of rolling over anyway. But, frustrating, right? Being a day trader. Having said that, so it's got a weird looking chart now. Big topping tail, another topping tail, and bottoming tail. You got one of those, kind of, indecision candles. But to me, this doesn't feel very bullish with sellers keep coming in up in this area. So I don't love it, but I am going to put it on a chart if I get an A+. And I'll go back to 5s real quick. I do like this back through 4 tomorrow because we've got today's high, 423 just above, and it's a recent high flyer. So that's why I'm throwing it on the chart, even though the daily looks weird. All right. ICD, this one moves with oil. Oil doesn't seem to be getting much action in after hours, but anyway, had this huge 2-day move. Now you got a 3-day pullback on declining volume. So I actually really like this. Any kind of bid in oil tomorrow, maybe we get an A+ setup in this one, and you could get a pretty nice percentage move in this if it sets up well. All right, so definitely want to keep that one on watch. MNOV, big 2-day move, 2.5-day move, if you will. 3 days lower on declining volume. Just goes on bounce watch. No trades in it today, even though I had it on bounce watch. Bear with me. I've got BIOL on my list twice. Let's get that out of there. Okay, so Works. Not in love with this one either. Because a lot of people underwater. I mean, almost 100 million shares traded this day, and it's basically almost round-tripped. Not counting what it did in pre-market that day. It's basically almost round-tripped. So it's not very powerful, and you still have a lot of people underwater, but I do want to watch it because it did kind of go out close to its highs. Couple potential gap plays tomorrow. Gilead closed at 76.54, went out in after hours around 89 bucks. They were in the headlines today and responsible partially, I think, for the market move as well. Apparently, their Remdesivir with an R. I don't know. Their drug is really showing promise in helping people with COVID. So that's a headline to in after hours, and a huge gap up expected tomorrow. So we're going to watch that one. And mRNA. I don't know if this had a specific headline too, or if it's also kind of just another COVID effective drug. But there's the daily, so it's already been ripping. And then in after hours, it went out at 48.70, so a big gap up in this one too. Both of those, you know, are probably feel extended, but you never know. If we get an A+ setup, might get a squeeze tomorrow. Work, which is Slack Technologies, really having issues with the $30 area here, and then it's come 2 days in a row, pretty far to get up here. So I don't like calling a breakout over 30 when you have this kind of shape. If you had a few days in a row, kind of like sideways like you did here, and then a 30 break, it'd be, to me, much more powerful. Having said that, if you go to intraday, it did spend a good portion of the day kind of flagging below 30. So that, and with all the troubles Zoom is having, Slack Technologies could be a beneficiary of Zoom's troubles. So I do have that on watch for a 30 break, but only with a proper setup. And then lastly, I threw EAT on there because the entire market's gapping up with under the thesis that you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel maybe, and someday we're all going to get back to normal, whatever that is, and reopening of America talk, all that. So I wanted to throw one restaurant on there, and so I just chose EAT, which is Chili's and some other restaurants as well. It closed at 14.50, and it's trading at 16.50 in after hours. The most recent high, about 18 right here. So if this opens somewhere around here, you know, this has the potential, another catalyst above from about a week ago. So anyway, I just wanted to choose kind of one random restaurant to have on the list. And then I'm going to leave it at that. God knows what to expect tomorrow. Again, I don't love big gap up days, but we're pretty good in the chat room at finding individual plays. So let's just keep doing that, and I'll see y'all in chat tomorrow.